Alright, folks, time to do my picks for the 2013-2014 NFL playoffs. We have the first round matchups in the Wildcard division set, and I'm going to give you my predictions for the entire shebang, culminating with this year's Super Bowl predictions. Before we begin, I'm looking at these teams and basing my predictions upon 11 pieces of criteria. Criteria is as follows: their overall points against, points for differential, their win streak heading into the playoffs, their average points put up per game, their average time of possession per game, third down percentage conversion, third down percentage stopping the opposing team, their overall offensive giveaways, their overall defensive takeaways, their average offensive yards per game, and their average yards against per game. So that's 11 criteria. So there's always going to be at least one tiebreaker when we compare the different teams and the potential and actual matchups here. So obviously we're going to start with the wild card round. Cincinnati against San Diego. Cincinnati the third seed, San Diego kind of sneaking in the playoffs. AFC West, arguably the best overall conference in the AFC. Well, I guess division is a more fitting term. 3 teams made it in this year's playoffs, only the sole exception being my beloved Raiders. So this is not painful or anything. So anyway, you look at Cincinnati and San Diego. Obviously, San Diego, they've been on a 4-game win streak, so they have that in their favor. Overall, however, Cincinnati is putting up more points per game, and they are controlling the ball longer than San Diego. However, San Diego, they are both better with their third down conversions and their third down stops, even though Cincinnati does have a better overall field goal percentage. As far as takeaways and giveaways go, it's a mixed bag. San Diego obviously has a better giveaway percentage. However, Cincinnati is better defensively, stripping the opponents of the ball. Looking at yards per game, San Diego is better, but Cincinnati is generally a better defensive team in terms of yards allowed. So looking at all these factors, I'm going to go with an upset here. I think San Diego is the hotter team coming in, and I think they're playing a little bit better offensively than Cincinnati is. I know they put up a lot of points, but I think the takeaways here is going to be a key factor. So my first prediction, heading into the 2013-2014 playoffs, major upset. I think San Diego beats Cincinnati and earns them an automatic date with Denver in a much anticipated AFC West rematch. Okay, going down to the Colts against the Chiefs. Really interesting matchup. Looking at the criteria here, Kansas City, they have the better overall points for, points against percentages. However, I think the Colts are on a better win streak at the moment. Points per game, time possession, both favor the Chiefs. However, both third down conversion percentage and third down stop percentage both favor the Colts. The Colts are better on giveaways, even though Kansas City is better on takeaways and field goals. And I think the big key factor here is yards per game and yards allowed per game. Both favor the Colts. The Chiefs, they have a really impressive win-loss record, and I think they could be an even better team next year, if you can believe it. But I think this year is not their year. I think Indianapolis goes in there, and they win. They defend their home turf, and that sets up a matchup against Tom Brady in the divisional playoffs. So there you go, AFC picks. I'm going to kick San Diego and the upset over Cincinnati, and the Colts over the Chiefs. Moving down to the NFC, Philadelphia against New Orleans should be another interesting matchup. Philadelphia beating the Cowboys without Romo, just barely to make the playoffs. New Orleans kind of gimping in after having the Panthers pretty much steal the division crown from them in late December. Let's see. Points for, points against favors New Orleans. However, I think Philadelphia's on a hotter streak. They also put up more points per game. Time of possession, third down conversion, both favor the Saints. Third down stops favors Philadelphia. It's an absolute push on offensive giveaways. New Orleans has a better field goal percentage. I think the key factors here are takeaways. Defensively, Philadelphia playing much better. Philadelphia is also putting up way more yards per game than the Saints, even if the Saints are generally putting up better yards allowed per game percentages. Should be an interesting matchup, probably going to be high scoring. But I think the Philadelphia offense here is just a little bit more potent than New Orleans at this point, and I think the Eagles end up winning in a shootout. Okay, then we come to Green Bay against San Francisco. San Francisco has the absolute hottest win streak going on right now in the NFL. They've won 6 games heading in the playoffs, knocked off Seattle, put up some amazing victories. A really, really good team. Nobody really wants to play them at this point. Green Bay, sort of the surprise team. They're limping in here with the injured Aaron Rodgers. Had some tough games against the Bears and some other divisional rivals heading into this one. But they do have home turf. That could be a factor. San Francisco obviously has a better points for, points against differential, better streak going into it. But, we look at the statistics here, it's looking a little iffy because Green Bay has the better overall points per game, better time of possession, better third down percentage, and better third down stops. Absolute push on field goal percentage, but I think, and this is the huge one, in terms of giveaways and takeaways, San Francisco is a much better team in terms of stripping the ball away from the opponent and holding on to the ball offensively. Green Bay actually has more yards per game, but San Francisco is playing better defensively, and I think that's defensive angle is what's going to give the 49ers an advantage. Should be a pretty close game, but I've got the 49ers winning, which sets them up against the Seahawks in a much anticipated NFC West rematch. And of course that means that Carolina will be hosting the Eagles in the divisional playoffs. So that's what I think the bracket's going to look like for the divisional playoffs. Denver against San Diego. There's a very interesting game that happened a couple of weeks back in which the Chargers upset Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Obviously, the Broncos have the best overall points for, points against differential in the league right now. But San Diego is definitely on a hotter streak playing at this point. In terms of points per game, time possession, both favor Denver. But when you look at some of these other factors, it's looking a little bit less iffy. Better third down percentage goes to the Chargers. Better third down stop percentage goes to the Chargers. Better field goal percentage goes to the Chargers. Better giveaways offensively goes to the Chargers. To be fair, the Broncos are putting up better yards per game and yards against per game, and they do have the better takeaways. But I look at the third down conversions, I look at the third down stops, and I look at their ability to hold on to the ball. And I also look at the fact that, hey, it's January and we got Peyton Manning behind the center. And I think we're on the verge of another monumental Peyton Manning collapse. It's going to be shocking, but I'm going to pull the trigger and say that San Diego will indeed upset Denver and punch their ticket to the AFC Conference Championships in a huge, huge, huge upset. Which brings us to New England against Indianapolis. My apologies. I'm thinking about basketball season already. New England better. Points for, points against, obviously, even though the Colts have the better streak. Points per game, time possession, both favor the Patriots. Absolute push on third down conversions. Third down stops, field goal percentage, both favor the Patriots. Let's see, takeaways favors New England. Yards per game also favors New England. But giveaways offensively, Colts better holding on to the ball. And I think overall the Colts defense is playing a little bit better than Tom Brady's team. And I think the Patriots, more than any season in recent years, they're going into this one a little bit hobbled. I think the Colts, they've caught fire. They're playing well. I think if they can, knock off Kansas City and their potent defense, I think they're probably going to do a pretty good job of containing Tom Brady. And I think they actually end up pulling off one more upset and knocking off the Patriots in a very low-scoring game. But I think they end up winning it. And there we go. It's the AFC Conference Championship that all the marketers really want. Small market versus small market. Colts versus Chargers. Not Eli Manning, not Peyton Manning, not any of the big-name quarterbacks. Andrew Luck against Phillip Rivers. All right, money in the bank. Okay, now let's take a look at the NFC division, Seattle against San Francisco. Probably the best overall matchup we're going to have the entire playoff season. Seattle obviously has the points for, points against benefits here. Streak favors the 49ers, points per game going to Seattle. Time possession favors San Francisco. Here's one of the really interesting things I've looked at regarding statistics this year. Seattle actually has the lowest time of possession of any team in the NFL this year, which, you kind of think of as being a negative, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're putting up points so quickly, and, their defense is holding the other team down so much that maybe it's not really a negative. So that's kind of in the eye of the beholder. In terms of third down percentage, third down stops, field goal percentage, takeaways, yards per game, yards against per game, all favoring the Seahawks. I know San Francisco got that really big win a couple of weeks ago. It was a very close defensive struggle. But, overall, I think the Seahawks are a much, much better team holistically, even though I think this one's going to be close. It's going to be a nail-biter, and unless you forget, it's in Seattle, and, of course, they have that huge, huge home field advantage. And I think this one comes down to the wire. It's going to be a great game, an all-time classic, and I see the Seahawks winning in a very, very hard-fought, almost Pyrrhic victory over the 49ers. Carolina against Philadelphia. Defense versus offense. Classic struggle. Who do you pick? Traditionally, you have to be an idiot to not go with defense. But, hold on, I'm seeing some weak links with the Panthers. A team that just barely won the NFC South. They struggled against the Falcons, and that's really all you need to know about this team heading into the playoffs. Plus minus, going to Carolina. Streak, going to Carolina. Points per game favors Philadelphia. Time possession, third down percentage, both going towards Carolina, although I think it is kind of interesting. Philadelphia does have the better third down stop percentage. Giveaways, absolute push, field goal percentage favors Carolina. Yards per game and takeaways favoring Philadelphia. I really don't have an explicit rationale for why I feel this way, but I think Cam Newton is not really the most accurate quarterback. I don't think he's the field general that you really need to go far in the playoffs. And I really like the way the Eagles have been playing both offensively and defensively lately. And I think that's enough to get them into the NFC Championship. All right, so these are our championships. Seattle against Philadelphia, Indianapolis against San Diego. Start with the NFC, Seattle against Philadelphia. Really kind of interesting. If you look at the statistics, the streak, points per game, time possession, third down percentage, third down stops, all favor Philadelphia. Of course, however, Seattle does have the better plus minus, better field goal percentage, actually have the best field goal percentage of any team in the league, better on takeaways, and a better defense yards allowed per game. I think it's going to be another interesting matchup. I think Seattle's defense is really going to shine in this one, and that's going to be the key factor. Philadelphia's going to try hard, but I think Seattle kind of grinds them out. It's going to be like 27-21, 27-16. Probably not the most interesting finale for the NFC, but I think Seattle, with their home field advantage, goes in there, the crowd roars, and they win this one, and they punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. Colts against the Chargers, AFC Championship. What we have here, a lot of this is favoring the Chargers. Streak, obviously, points per game, time possession, third down percentage, third down stops, and yards per game, all favoring the Chargers. However, you look at giveaways, you look at takeaways, you look at yards allowed per game. Defensively, the Colts, I think, are playing better than the Chargers. And in these situations, when you have a really, really good field general, and I think Andrew Luck, despite some misgivings against the Rams earlier this year, is probably a better person to have late in the season than Phillip Rivers. I think the Colts playing better defensively, and they've won some really impressive games, and I think they do one more. I think Indianapolis holds off the Chargers, and they become a Cinderella team, is that we have the Seahawks taking on the Colts in the Super Bowl. Prediction for this one. I think it's going to be, the last couple of Super Bowls have all been really exciting, and I think we're long overdue for a kind of crappy one. And I think in this one, streak favoring Indianapolis, points per game surprisingly favoring Indianapolis, third down percentage, third down stops, all kind of going towards Indianapolis. Giveaways favoring Indianapolis. But other than that, though, look at the way Seahawks have been playing defensively as far as takeaways, yards per game, yards allowed per games, field goal percentage, all sort of the key variables here. I think Seattle goes in this game. They're playing much better offensively and defensively. I think if their defensive unit can hold up and just kind of keep luck at bay, Russell Wilson doesn't really have to do much to win this one. I think it ends up being not really a blowout, but not really a contest either. I think, end of the day, Seattle Seahawks go in this one, and they will win 30-13, 30-16 in what is a fairly uneventful game. So there we go. I'm picking Seahawks to win the whole shebang, even though I think the AFC is going to be quite unpredictable, and who knows. So there you go. If you're a fan of Seattle, get to avenge 2006, and who knows, this might be the start of a new dynasty, the team of the 2010s. Probably not, though.